Welcome to space where nobody can hear you suck. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Hey guys, welcome to Thumb Together. I'm Andrew Fantasia, and today we're going to be talking about the Cloverfield Paradox together. As always, if you like this gosh darn sexy video, please be sure to click that like button, give that subscribe button some love as well so I can keep making videos for all of you. Now, let's get to this movie. Boy, this is a strange case here. See, the Cloverfield movies are movies that I have always been a big fan of. I really liked the first one, and I was perfectly happy with it as it was, but when they were teasing, oh, we got more ideas, we got more, I was excited. I was like, yeah, I want more. Give me more. And then we had to wait, 8 years for 10 Cloverfield Lane. It was worth the wait because 10 Cloverfield Lane was even better than the original, and that was just a lot of fun, and that introduced all these new concepts. And then they were like, oh, don't worry, we got this whole Cloverfield universe, it's coming, we're rolling them out. So I was like, yes, finally, Cloverfield's happening. Then a couple years back, we got the news about this one, and it was originally going to be called The God Particle. And when I heard that, it feels like a long time ago, FYI, when I heard that news, I was like 2-3 years ago. When I heard that it was going to be called The God Particle, I got really excited because it was around the same time that the Higgs boson particle was discovered in the real world. So I was like, okay, they're going to get sciencey about this. And then I heard that it was, still a Cloverfield movie, even though it didn't have Cloverfield in the title. And then it was supposed to be released last year, and it wasn't. And it was supposed to be released this year, and we didn't hear anything. And then all of a sudden, Super Bowl comes around, and the trailer drops, and it's just like, hey, you like Cloverfield, kids? Well, we got another Cloverfield picture for you, and it's out right now. That's right, I said right now. And I was like, okay, neat. So it came out on Netflix, and it's called the Cloverfield Paradox. Netflix is a tricky situation with me, because I was looking forward to going to see this in the theater, and I know I'm literally probably the only person on planet Earth who feels like this, but I'd rather go to a theater than watch something on Netflix. So when I heard that it was being released only on Netflix, I was like, well, that's disappointing. I mean, this movie got delayed twice. I've been waiting for it for what feels like 25 years, and now it's finally coming out on Netflix. It's like waiting to go out on a date, and you're all excited, and you're getting ready, and you're looking forward to this big date, and then the date just ends up being talking on the phone for 25 minutes. But whatever. I was ready to see past it, and I was psyched. I was like, okay. It took me some time to watch it, but I finally got around to it, and I saw the Cloverfield Paradox. Now, my first impression was, with the title like Cloverfield Paradox, and with a person behind it like J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot and that whole crew, and a plot like involving astronauts and monsters and such, I was expecting a very complex movie. I was expecting something like Annihilation, something that really made me think. I mean, when you have the word paradox in the title, you're picturing equations, crazy stuff, science gone awry, all kinds of stuff. And that wasn't really the case here, but that's okay. What we got instead was something that I found very disappointing. I'm just going to go right ahead and say it. This was a not good movie. I don't know if I would say bad yet. I need some more time to let it stew, but this movie kind of sucked for me. But before I get to that, let's talk about the good things, because there are a few good things. Mainly the cast. This movie had a fantastic cast. It's one of those casts where every time a new character pops up, you're like, oh my god, it's blank. And that was the case. I mean, the only person I knew going into it was Mbatha-Raw as the lead, and I like her. She's always great. So she shows up, and I'm like, yay! All right, I'm down already. But then new people start coming into the mix, and every time a new character is introduced, I just got excited. I'm like, hey, it's Agent Callus from Rebels. Hey, it's the cool guy from Bridesmaids. Hey, it's Baron Zemo from Captain America 3. Hey, it's that guy who was in a couple of those Fast and Furious movies. Hey, it's the Hidden Dragon or Crouching Tiger, or one of the two. I can't remember which one she was. Hey, it's that gold lady from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Hey, it's... Oh, I actually don't know who that guy is. This is the first time I've ever seen him, but he did a good job too. So, way to go, man, whoever you are. Yeah, the cast had it going on. This was one of those, like, I love when movies do that, when, you're sitting down, you're watching, you maybe know one or two people who are going to be in it, and then next thing you know, they just keep throwing familiar faces at you. That's always a lot of fun. So I was down for that. The other thing I was down for, in fact, what I would say is, hands down, the best part of the Cloverfield Paradox by a huge margin, the score. The music in this movie was absolutely gorgeous. It is one of the best scores I've heard in many, many, many months. It was composed by Bear McCreary. He does the music on The Walking Dead, and he's done a couple other big things, but Walking Dead is what he's most known for. This guy hit it out of the park. I mean, the music cues in this movie were just, like, flawless. They hit all the right notes. They had the old-fashioned, old Hollywood excitement to them. I just wish that more movies had music like this. But maybe that's a good thing, because now it's more special if it's more rare. I don't know. But music, 10 out of 10. Awesome. That was the extent of what I enjoyed about the Cloverfield Paradox, unfortunately. I think that the biggest problem comes from the fact that this movie should not have been a Cloverfield movie. Now, granted, the best parts of the movie were the parts that tied into Cloverfield, at least for me. Here's the thing. Let me give you an example. You see this? This is one of the worst video games I've ever played in my life, okay? And this is why it's one of the worst. Is because that guy on the cover is an explorer. He's like Indiana Jones. He's an explorer, an archaeologist. He goes through ancient ruins and hidden parts of the world, and he explores and he finds ancient artifacts. That's what he does for a living. But is that what you do in the game? In the game, do you run around and explore ancient ruins and like find ancient artifacts? Not really. In the game, you follow a linear path and shoot guys from behind walls. There are maybe 2.5 billion actual games where you can follow a linear path and shoot guys from behind walls, but when I buy a game that has an explorer on the cover, I expect to be allowed to explore. No, apparently that's not what they were going for. And this is the same problem that Cloverfield has. At the end of the day, when you sit down and you watch this film, it's a space station movie. And again, there are about literally 750,000 space station movies. And a space station movie is just what I call a movie where you have a bunch of characters in a space station or a shuttle in space or something where everything that can go wrong does go wrong, and one by one things keep blowing up and people keep dying because space is a dangerous place. We've all seen a billion of these movies. We've all seen Alien. We've all seen Gravity, Sunshine, Apollo 13, Armageddon. I mean, these are dime a dozen at this point. Event Horizon. There are a jillion of these movies. When I go see a movie that has Cloverfield in the title, I want giant monsters and or aliens. I'm sorry, but that's what I want. That's why I go to see a movie called Cloverfield. What I don't want is yet another space station movie. And that's exactly what this was. Everything that went wrong on the station was just another space station mishap. Oh, the thing is turning too fast and it's going to kill us. I guess we better go shut it off. Uh-oh, I got sucked into space. Uh-oh, the captain went down with the ship, etc., etc., etc. Those last few comments I just made, I should have theoretically put them in the spoiler section, but I didn't because everybody could see them coming. Why? Because we have seen a jillion space station movies before. Cloverfield, the first Cloverfield, what was so beautiful about it was it was a kaiju movie, but that's how it sold itself. It was a kaiju movie. And then 10 Cloverfield Lane upped the ante so much more because it was completely different. We didn't know what to expect other than the fact that somehow it had something to do with Cloverfield. With this one, we got a tie to Cloverfield. In fact, we got the catalyst that starts this whole Cloverfield thing. And I like that. But this catalyst is a tiny, very microscopic little chocolate egg wrapped in a giant ball of tinfoil that is yet another space station movie. And I'm sorry, but I'm just done with space station movies. I'm done. I'm done with, oh no, the door is not closing and all the oxygen is now leaving the room and I'm dead. I'm just done with those. I'm done. There's just too many now. I'm bored with that. Going back to the Uncharted thing, I saw a movie that had Cloverfield in the title. I was expecting some Cloverfield goodness, and I got probably accumulatively 1 minute of actual Cloverfield goodness, and the rest was a space station movie. I'm going to start spoilers here just in case, you still want to see this. But what ends up happening on this station is that the Earth is running out of energy. and, extinction is imminent if they don't do something about it. And they've got a particle accelerator on the space station, and they are attempting to use it to create infinite sustainable energy for the Earth. Sounds reasonable enough. But then when they use it, because the core is unstable and what have you, because of science, it ends up tearing a hole in the fabric of reality, and it sends the crew to an alternate dimension. Basically a parallel universe. Apart from doing that, it also opens up holes in a bunch of dimensions, and that's how the monsters come through. That plot alone, the plot of opening up the tear and creating an alternate reality, that had me on board. I was 100% on board for that. And there was a great moment where Elizabeth Debicki's character was, she just appeared inside the wall, and she's trapped in the wall, and she's like, oh my God, help me. And the reason she just appeared out of nowhere is because she, in the other dimension, is the one who goes on this mission, not Gugu Mbatha-Raw's character, Ava. So it's kind of like, the dimensions are squeezing in on each other and everything's going haywire. That premise, that's what I wanted to see with a movie called The Cloverfield Paradox. The idea of dimensions closing in on one another, that's what I wanted. The goodness we got out of that was, again, a tiny chocolate egg surrounded by a space station movie where the space station is blowing up because space is dangerous. Chris O'Dowd's character loses an arm. His arm he gets sucked into a wall, and then it starts crawling around and doing things independently of itself. Why? I don't know. I don't know if there's science behind that or if they just thought it was cool to have somebody lose an arm. But that happens. That's a thing. And the arm writes down something and tells them what to do. And it's so flippant. Everybody's so flippant about it. Chris O'Dowd is like, oh my God, I lost my arm. My arm is telling me things. Hooray for my arm. And everybody's like, all right. Whatever stakes were in that moment with the arm where they were ripped out like that guy's heart in the Temple of Doom and just cast aside, and the movie's like, stakes? We don't need stakes. There's an arm here. Then we get to the biggest wasted opportunity of all, which is that the space station, is spinning out of control and they can't find Earth, and then they eventually find Earth again, but it's not their Earth. It's the parallel Earth. And I thought, okay, here we go. This is going to be so interesting because Ava, the main character, has the real world. Her and her husband lost their 2 children in a fire. That was her fault. And now they're in this parallel world where that version of Ava still has her children. So there's an emotional reason to want to stay on this planet. And I dig that. And what I was hoping and praying for, what I thought would have just been so much fun, is, okay, they found Earth, but it's not their Earth. I thought the crew was going to have to go down to the planet and figure out a way to get back to their Earth while at the same time intermingling with this parallel Earth and all the crazy stuff that could happen therein. They could meet their parallel selves. They could be in sort of like a fringe situation where it's like this Earth has some messed up things going on. Maybe China rules the world and it's like the Empire of China and the People's Republic of Canada is second in command. Something cool and parallel and weird and funny and out there, and you could throw the monsters in there too, and it wouldn't, we wouldn't bat an eyelash because it's parallel world, anything can happen. But no, they don't go down to that parallel Earth at all. We don't see it. Instead, we just see the space station is breaking, because I've never seen that ever happen before. Usually in movies, space stations have a great track record. That's what they call sarcasm, kids. If you really want to know how this ends, whatever happened with the particle accelerator opened up portals that allowed monsters to fall down to real Earth, not parallel Earth. And Ava's boyfriend, who's at home, is dealing with all these, kaiju landing on Earth and stuff, but you never really see them. You just hear like, oh, stuff is bad and there's smoke everywhere and we have to go hide in bunkers. And his scenes were very quick, and he's just, he's taking care of a little girl and helping her find her parents and stuff. And then at the very end of the movie, he hears from a friend that, oh, Ava and her crew are coming back. They're landing. And he's like, don't let her land. There's monsters here. And then Ava lands, and you see the Cloverfield monster come up out of the clouds, and he's even bigger than he's ever been. And he's like, rah! And the movie ends. That's some bullshit. I'm sorry, but that's some next level bullshit. You made us spend, I don't know how many minutes that I'll never get back watching a space station malfunction, and then at the end you finally give us Cloverfield for like 2.5 seconds. I am not amused. sirs and madams, whoever's responsible for this movie. I am not the slightest bit amused. You could have given us a really fun parallel Earth story. You could have given us a really fun kaiju story. There's so many things you could have done, and you took the easy way out. You took the "our space station is breaking" way out. Congratulations, you've broken new ground. Not. So that is the Cloverfield Paradox. It's a paradox that this even got made, if we're being entirely honest. I'm still looking forward to Cloverfield 4, which apparently is coming out in October. Like, it's coming out this year. That's neat, I guess. It's supposed to be called Overlord, and it's supposed to take place during World War II, where the Nazis are using paranormal stuff to create an army of monsters or something. The portals being opened in this movie has now created a bunch of portals in different time periods and such, according to what Wikipedia says. So now, from what I gather, every Cloverfield movie going forward, whatever crazy monsters we meet are the result of the portals that are open in this movie. And I'm okay with that. You know, if this movie has to be the catalyst, I'm okay with that, as long as you don't ask me to watch it again. But I am looking forward to Overlord. It sounds like it's going to be a lot like the first Hellboy, just like a bunch of crazy Nazis, you know, doing occult shit, and I like that. So let's see some soldiers fight some monsters. Let's see some World War II goodness. As long as no space stations end up malfunctioning. Because you know what? I've had my fill, baby. So that's the Cloverfield Paradox. That is Thumb Together. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Until then, don't become an astronaut. Not a good idea.